We interrupt your regularly scheduled broadcast to bring you this message. Neo Yokio? More like Yokio Jokio. Look, good on Jaden Smith for making his little cartoon, but if he thinks he's made anything resembling great art, he is sadly mistaken. Now, by this point, I'm sure you've heard more than enough hot takes on this little slice of hell, so I won't bore you with the details of the plot, because it's pretty much Jaden Smith self-inserts himself into an anime and everybody else reacts to it. Don't get me wrong, I don't hold anything against Mr. Smith, though he does have a bit of a reputation for being pretentious on Twitter. In the way only a young man can be, of course. I mean, I was like that. I just didn't have a huge stage to do it with. Thank God. All characteristically self-deprecating jokes aside, this show is way up its own ass. It feels like a blender of a bunch of anime things just thrown haphazardly at a wall, with the intimation that they know what they're doing, but clearly not knowing what they're doing. We have to take a lot of things on faith in this setting as it's presented, because there are robot butlers in undersea cities, and you know what, whatever. Nothing is adequately explained or even given a reason for existing. It feels like a show that would have come on at 7 a.m. on Kids WB, with a writing job given to the custodial staff just to get it out the door. At least the acting isn't painful. Mostly. The series does seem to understand that it's basically a pet project, a self-insert fanfic given life, except for Kaz, who's Jaden's character. He somehow manages to mope his way throughout the series and yet not have a care in the world. The series is supposed to be, or at least it should be, satirizing these rich sons of bitches, but it never seems to. It seems to actually think that those of us who have to look at our bank books before we go to fucking McDonald's actually care about people who wear socks that cost more than the cars we drive. There's no heart to it. It's a wafer-thin shell of a series that thinks it can slide by on the names attached to it without putting any actual work in. Ironically, much like real rich people. Kaz is rich beyond imagining, but he has to go and occasionally do a thing to remain so. Nothing makes me want to break a bottle over his little rich head than hearing him complain, which he does at great length, whether we like it or not. And other characters, Helen the Fashionista specifically, call him out on it for being a rich little toolbox and the poster boy for the nouveau riche. Incidentally, the phrase is nouveau riche, not neo-riche, like they use in the show. But don't tell the writing staff that. I'm sure they're very sensitive. They never really go anywhere with that angle, though, other than to have him get browbeaten by his white aunt. There's so much at hand here that could be picked apart, or at least examined in some way, shape, or form, but they just sort of throw it on the ground and say, hey, look at this shit. It lacks targeted intent. It lacks clear understanding of what it wants to do, and it simply goes through the motions. This is Poe's Law writ large. Satire requires a clarity of purpose and target lest it be mistaken and contribute to that which it is intending to criticize. This is just a story about rich motherfuckers. This lacks clarity of purpose and target. It doesn't get it. It doesn't get itself. Look, the characters are wholly uninteresting. The animation and colors lack any nuance, and aside from the fact that I'll be referring to various parts of my anatomy as a giant Toblerone for at least the rest of the year, there's really nothing that funny about it. I wish there was actually a full anime series that this was culled from, because it feels like an abridged series, down to the mouth flaps and sense of humor. The only difference is I sometimes laugh at abridged series. This is The Room without the incompetent charm. It's a child dictating a rambling story and adults animating it. Don't bother. Go have fun doing something else. I'd rather watch MD Geist again than this, because at least that one is worth a laugh. And you know, I have to wonder, did Toblerone's stock spike after this show dropped? This lacks clarity of purpose. I am not a crook. I am a balena. I don't know. I turned it. That's going at the end.